Hey, what's up, everyone? My name is Lionel. I'm your host for LT Productions, and you are watching I Watch You Watch. We are covering The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. This is season 14, episode 2. I appreciate everyone for coming to my channel. Please like this video, and also you can subscribe to my channel if you are not, and you can leave your comments below. All right, so let's get into this episode. Well, we'll begin where we left off, already to be continued. I can rest assure you that we're not going to get to be continued in the next episode because I've seen the previews. The episode wasn't heavy. I think it was kind of more knowledge filled, if I could say it that way. So I don't think I'll be before you really too long. Dorit and Kyle, they finished their little, argument, not a talk. Kyle is really frustrated that Dorit wants to get out her frustrations and really say what's going on. Kyle's giving a lot of excuses as to what really was the breakdown of the relationship. Dorit's not really going for it. Kyle was trying to make up this whole thing about what happened at BravoCon, saying that she chose Kathy as the most of the best Richard sister. When Kyle first spilt something on her, or made her spill something on her, and then she jokingly said, "Oh, it's Kathy." And somehow she took that as the reason why she iced Dorit out. And Dorit just called BS. What it was a watch what happens live, where Dorit was at, and she said what she thinks is what, as far as an action, as far as what Kyle was doing to her. She got closer to Morgan, whom she won't mention on the show anymore. She won't mention that crap. Kyle will not be truthful, and I hate that, and that's what pisses me off about this show particular, because what they did for many seasons was to target one person and basically bully them off the show, to be so honest and transparent, and they said nothing about their lives. The show was thriving off a scandal. I'm glad it's becoming a little bit more normal-ish. I mean, I know Beverly Hills got a lot of scandals. I get that, but that's how y'all even made your viewership and ratings. And you got more viewership and ratings when Garcelle came on, and a lot of us black folks came over to start watching your show. If truth be told about Beverly Hills. I know I kind of just jumped over something, but I just had to say this because it's like, it's been this way. And somehow y'all will just jackhammer other people to tell the truth and to be so open. And these jokers who been on for 14 years, 8 years, 10 years, all that good stuff, got to coast for a very long time. Anyways, Dorit says until she's able to, she said this in her confessional, until she's able to say that this was a whole, when I said something about Morgan and you pushing me out for Morgan, then we don't really have anything to say. No complaints from me, no arguments from me, Dorit, because it does sound like that, because it's a weak excuse if she thought the whole favorite sister thing was something. But Kyle wanted a conversation. And if we're going to do this like this, then we don't need to really talk right now. We both have feelings right now, but it's really seems like a thing that Kyle wants to be heard, and she wants Dorit to just apologize and just keel over to what she's got going on to make things better. She says that y'all both have feelings about things, but you still want to dominate stuff. And Dorit just said, no. I'm cool with that. I spent a little bit too much time even on that conversation. In this regards, I'm good. I'm glad that Dorit has a backbone towards Kyle. I still don't believe that Kyle is that into Dorit, and I stand on that forever and never am going to back up from that, because there's nothing that I've ever seen from Kyle that says that I'm a real friend to Dorit. And you thought, because of whatever was going on with you and Morgan, it was time to shun other people because you weren't willing to admit whatever you and Morgan had going on was something more than just some playful thing that you played into. And now Morgan don't even want to talk to you and don't want you to mention her name. Okay. So Kyle just gets up. Like, they don't even say, okay, we'll continue this later. Nope. They both leave and all that good stuff. The next day, Kyle and Sutton, they go out to breakfast or possibly brunch or whatever. And then on the flip side, Erica and Boz, they go over to Erica and Dorit goes over to Boz's home. We get a little bit more of Boz, and we find out, of course, we know that she's like corporate CMO and all this good stuff. We get all that. We find out a little bit of her personal life and what happened in as far as the pivot that she had to make in her life. She was in corporate America. She was working for PepsiCo at the time. She just made a deal with the Super Bowl, I guess, to be featured during the whole Super Bowl halftime show or halftime time stuff that they got going on. Her husband, whom she had been separated from anyways, was just diagnosed with cancer, and he passed away within a year or so. Their baby was pretty young. She did say that she feels like her husband got robbed of being a father, as I'm sure he wanted to be. And of course, her daughter has also, and I forgot her name. I think it starts with the L, but I just couldn't remember it when I was thinking about it after watching the show. So in corporate America, after making that good deal, about a year later or so, they said, well, you're not really meeting the mark after just making that deal. And it made her pivot to stop being someone else's worker and flunky and to start her own business. Because a lot of times in corporate America, they're under this guise of, what have you done for me lately? Ooh, yeah. Even though you just slam dunked. And then other people can be mediocre and don't have to do anything. It's kind of like, what's next? What next can you do for me in our business, my business, to make it thrive? So she has these, like, I guess these motivational conferences or whatever, as far as pivoting and being the entrepreneur. She's the boss and no longer the employee. So we get a view of her home, really? But she had this, like, fruit plate. It was interesting. It wasn't some type of normal fruit plate. She has an assistant. Also, I forgot his name. Was it Nigel, possibly? Anyways, they come over. They sit in her back area, and they discuss Kyle and all that. Dorit just feels like Kyle wants her to just roll over and be a certain way so things will be all right for Kyle. But I'm just sick of being in a certain place and this kind of doormat to Kyle. On the flip side, they do talk with Sutton and Kyle. I guess Sutton got some Botox a couple of months ago or whatever. Kyle just said, when Sutton said, does it look like I got Botox? And she's like, well, I was like, oh, okay. I guess not. Some don't need it. I know the culture in Beverly Hills and Los Angeles and California is that way, but she don't need it. And I'm just saying this, don't come for me. Maybe, I don't know, do something with the neck area. I mean, it's not like Giselle's, but, she could possibly do something in the neck area, But I guess if you're going to be in the Beverly Hills area, you got to look the part or whatever. So then they talk a little bit, Sutton and Kyle, about Mauricio. They do talk about the whole Dorit and Kyle situation or whatever. And Sutton just listened. But Sutton thinks that Kyle should go on and file for divorce. And Kyle's not really getting it. Like, why do I have to do that? We're still pretty cool. And she said, from experience, once it's time to actually get things started with the divorce and money and removing yourself, men don't like to be parted from their finances. Things can become ugly. And she also said, from the point that you actually file whatever you are doing or have going on in your life, it's yours, instead of you having to split whatever you have going on. So we learned something later about what Mauricio, and I think that Sutton is on the right track, and I understand why she said what she said. Anyway, she's not really at that place. Kyle isn't. I mean, Mauricio just moved out. So I don't know. But it's good to just guard your mind and all that good stuff. What was the next thing? Did anyone else do anything outside of that? No. Sutton invites Erica and Kathy over. Now I'm really seeing this natural friendship between Sutton and Kathy. It was just kind of like this, how can I say this? Let me be up Kathy's ass, but I just wasn't, I didn't know how natural and how really close these jokers were. I'm not saying that they're close or whatever, but at least we see Kathy kind of let that quirkiness come down. It could be cameras too, I will say that. So, and maybe she's doing that, but it felt very natural as for whatever's going on with Kathy and Sutton, so I was cool with it. Erica was cool hanging around them. They all were in jeans and all this good stuff, but they were getting these pizza kits together, and they were going to go over to Kyle's. Sutton lets it be known that Mauricio moved a photo of her and Kyle out of the office that they were in and replaced it with his Dancing with the Stars photo, him with another woman, basically. And they were like, oh, that it's one thing to just remove a photo, but it's another thing to replace it with somebody. Like, what are you doing here? There's other things going on with Mauricio as far as his actions, and I understand more and more why Sutton is saying what she's saying. Kathy at this point says, hey, we're not saying anything about Mauricio. Of course, they got bad blood between the Hiltons and Mauricio. Mauricio used to be an agent under their real estate. Mauricio ended up leaving there and starting his own real estate company. And there had always been this bad blood between them. But at this point, I guess Kathy and I forgot the Hilton name, whoever her husband is, I forgot his name, don't say anything. Kathy says that Mauricio has been saying stuff on his own show. I've seen some of the episodes. I know that they do mention him as far as how he actually got his start and how he branched off into his own thing and da-da-da-da-da. But I think now that show has been canceled. That show was on Netflix. I think they got 2 seasons and that was it. 1 or 2 seasons, whatever it was. So they get the pizza kit and they have this little fun thing as far as surprising Kyle. They pretended to be Amazon delivery people, and they bring in the pizza kits, and they're all going to be in pajamas. They're not kimonos, but they kind of look like kimonos as far as the robes that they were wearing and all that. They talk a little bit about Mo. They asked where Garcelle was. Garcelle is busy in Atlanta filming 2 movies, but she'll be back next week. I'm sure that there's a lot of Twitter chatter about that. I ain't crazy. They talk about the whole Mo picture situation. Kyle's getting a little teary-eyed because of what's going on. She does say that I think Portia, or one of the children, weren't going to be there. It's her trying to adjust to her new normal of having a silent home. All she does has is her child, Portia, and I guess one other person that's living there. I don't know for sure. But I mean, probably soon, Kyle, you're gonna have to move. I mean, there's no reason to have that type of house with only you and Portia. Portia will be going off to school. She's 16 right now, in about 2 years. You know, so I guess the more juicier part is we're done with that. Dorit and PK, they meet. He has a non-alcoholic beer. I know people were seeing in the previews like, ain't that a beer right there? I thought he was sober, blah, 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 blah. I may have mentioned this, but I don't know if I did. I always seem like that there is a 11th hour type of storyline that comes up with for Dorit. Anyways, Dorit and PK left the house, and Dorit and PK decided to separate right when the cameras were coming up, which was also convenient when Mauricio did leave, I think 2 weeks before filming started. It's just like, is this a coincidence? Think not. that's in my mind. That's the only things I'm kind of like critical right now, only because this episode I felt like I need to be soft towards Kyle and Dorit because it did seem like some things were real. PK comes in, he has on a new wardrobe, and he said, "Do you like my outfit? This is single PK." And Dorit, at least in her confessional, felt like, ooh, I don't know if he knew the words that he was saying, but it was just kind of like really hurtful that he would say single PK. PK is the one that's initiating this separation, not Dorit, according to them. They talk a little bit about how he was until he got sober. It's like, I don't even think Dorit was saying the totality of all the mean things that they were saying towards each other. I think it got pretty ugly in what they were saying to one another. It seems like Dorit had been covering for him a lot because it looks like whenever they would have these arguments, he was drunk, he would just leave and be gone after all of these blow-ups. Because I think she was asked a question, about the children. So how are the children handling this? It's kind of been the norm of him just being gone for long periods of time after some type of heated argument. So it's like what Sutton was saying about a year or so ago, that she had heard that he was at a hotel with whomever, could have been possibly true, even though PK read her for filth, and also Dorit did too, when y'all were just living a lie all that time. That's y'all Beverly Hills folks that think that Garcelle and Sutton need to give more, but these jokers have been able to hide for years. But okay. So it looks that way. So he said, when he got sober, he really realized just the resentment he had towards Dorit. To my interpretation, it seems like PK wanted the doting wife, the doting Dorit, Mrs. Dorit Kemsley. I think the show has turned his view as to whom he wants in his wife. He sees now Dorit, iconic housewife, Kemsley. And that's not it. He wanted to be the man, the company man, the one that provided for his family, and now this one has, at least met his status or above his status at this point. That's what I'm getting from the whole situation. There's this codependency that they've had on each other that he wants to break. I guess they call each other 5 times a day. I don't get it. If y'all, he sees some toxic stuff that they had going on. And I'm wondering why Dorit does it. It's like Dorit wants to cope with it in a way. He sees it and he thinks that things have got to switch up and stop. It's just like, I don't know who's the villain in all of this, Because it's like, if y'all can stay on the phone for 5 times a day, but then have all these blow-ups, there's something horrendously wrong. And I think that he's put the brakes on some stuff, and he's trying to reevaluate his life. That's what I think. But y'all can tell me in the comments what you guys think. I'm still trying to figure this out. I'm trying to be sensitive this episode. But if I start reading folks in the next few episodes because of my frustration and what I really think is going on, sorry, it's going to be probably a rocky season because I don't go with the popularity vote in regards to the stuff that happens on Beverly Hills. All right, so that's all I do have. Please let me know in the comments what you think. Like this video and also subscribe. Until the next video, peace.